The giant Starship is about to launch for its first orbital test ever since it was developed. It is going to be a historic moment for the lovers of space and the rest of the world to witness this play out. And as Elon Musk has promised, it won't be boring. And if things go south, the $3 billion project will be brought down to debris before the millions of eyes that will be following the event live. But this won't be a surprise to the SpaceX CEO Elon Musk. He is not only aware of the possibilities, but also well prepared for the same. These were his words during an interview at the Morgan Stanley conference. "I am not saying it will get to orbit, but I am guaranteeing excitement," he added. "Won't be boring." It has been a long wait for the company to obtain clearance from the Federal Aviation Administration FAA. Those officers at the FAA are known to take nothing to chance regarding such matters. They have to because in every launch, several things are at stake, talking of the precious lives of the astronauts that may one day use the vehicle and the public resources invested in the development of this big project. Besides, the environment is also impacted by these projects. In light of the environmental concerns, SpaceX had to wait until June 13th last year before the Federal Aviation Administration gave them an environmental clearance. And even with the clearance, the company was given a list of about 75 mitigated measures known as the Mitigated Finding of No Significant Impact, or FONSI, which they were required to strictly act upon. But since not all of the mitigated measures will be required before the launch, the clearance brought to life the prospects of the near launch of the Starship. According to Elon Musk, this March is D-Day. This is what he said in a tweet: "We have a real shot at late February. March launch attempts appear highly likely." To further confirm the imminent launch of the Starship, SpaceX's senior advisor for national security solutions, Gary Henry, added, "The vehicle is in good shape, the pad is in good shape, and that was really the last book to check." But let us take a closer look at this highly hyped vehicle. It is said that the vehicle will come in two configurations, cargo and passenger spaceship. Irrespective of the configuration, the Starship is astoundingly tall. From the ground, it towers to a height of 120 meters with a cross-sectional diameter of 9 meters. The stainless steel giant rocket is divided into two sections. The first stage is the Super Heavy boosters. Each of the two Super Heavy on the sides of the Starship has about 33 Raptor engines. The Starship's peculiarity is not so much about its name or size. It is the tremendous power that it is capable of generating from its two Super Heavy engines. Unlike its predecessors, the Falcon 9 and the Falcon Heavy, which use the Merlin engine, the Starship uses the Raptors. And it is here that the secret of its power is to be found. The major fuel source for the Raptor engines is methane and oxygen. And from basic chemistry, methane burns a little bit more smoothly and produces no soot. Briefly, this is what happens in the engine. The propellants are introduced into the combustion chamber, not as liquid droplets, but as a highly pressurized and heated gas. And due to the high temperatures, they ignite instantly upon contact, removing the need of using igniters. The explosive reaction yields water vapor, which is channeled out through the nozzle at that tremendous velocity. The combined engines are capable of yielding approximately 510,000 pounds of thrust, enough to lift 250,000 metric tons of cargo to orbit. That is very impressive. However, it is not always easy to handle such a huge amount of power concentrated in a single machine. Something, if not several things, can go wrong. The intricate circuitry of the space vehicle could misbehave when accidentally exposed to high temperatures. This is the exam that the engineers of SpaceX have had to work on ever since Starship construction began in 2019. Will their hard work bear fruits, or will their efforts be blown apart with the rocket? Only time will tell, and that time is quickly approaching. You need to remember that the history of failed rocket tests is not new to SpaceX. Since they began testing their Starship prototypes, there have been several failed tests that ended in explosions. The recent ones involved the prototypes SN8, SN9, and SN10. Of these three failed tests, it is the SN10 accident that was perhaps the most annoying to the CEO of SpaceX, Elon Musk. The vehicle had returned in what seemed to be the most smooth and successful landing, but 10 minutes later it blew out. The accident was allegedly caused by a fire in one of its engines that had refused to extinguish. Nevertheless, despite these failures and the heavy losses they incurred, Considering that each launch costs the company about $2 million, they afforded precious lessons to SpaceX engineers who gained the needed experience and were able to bounce back strongly. Actually, the tests never ended there. After yet another messy explosion of Starship prototype SN-11, which exploded in mid-air, SpaceX made a triumph on May 5, 2021. The prototype SN-15 launched and landed safely in a well-controlled flight. Could this be the beginning of the Starship's journey to success? Well, we cannot be any more sure than the CEO of SpaceX himself. Despite the recent successes that accompanied his tests, he has registered his doubts over the success of the coming launch. During the interview at the Morgan Stanley conference, he said, "I don't know, hopefully about 50% chance of reaching orbit." You may perhaps be astonished at his skepticism, yet of all the people, he is supposed to be the most optimistic. But he has his best reasons. You know, it is good to hope for the best, but it is also silly not to prepare for the worst. Perhaps with his statements, he was preparing his eager fans not to be heavily disappointed in case things run out ugly. But there are other technical reasons. The two Super Heavy engines have never been tested in flight. Besides the full static fire test, no one knows how they will behave when the two of them are ignited simultaneously and allowed to lift off from the ground to the orbit. Anything is possible. Anything can happen. And just like occurrences in life, the probability of negative things happening is always high. You know, these trials are not done merely to satisfy the space ambition of the billionaire Elon Musk. There are other crucial matters at stake in these experiments. Amongst the things at stake is NASA's Artemis mission to the moon. The U.S. Space Agency awarded SpaceX 2 contracts amounting to over $4 billion to develop a space vehicle that is capable of bringing back astronauts to the surface of the moon under the Artemis program. This is a trust that Elon Musk will no doubt want to betray. In the Morgan Stanley conference, he mentioned that they are developing other Starship vessels just to increase their chances of reaching orbit before the close of the year. According to the company, the Starship launch will be conducted at its Starbase facility in Boca Chica, Texas. The 90 minutes flight is expected to begin with a successful launch, after which the Super Heavy boosters will disengage from the craft and land in the sea area about 30 kilometers off Texas. The spacecraft will continue flying and then descend softly to land in the Pacific Ocean, about 100 kilometers northwest of Kauai, in Hawaii. This is the best-case scenario. How about the worst? Do you think the highly anticipated orbital launch will be a success? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. To this end, thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can always get a notification when we post the latest and most exciting space news that you would not want to miss. Till next time, cheers.